my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, what are we going to review this week?
Well, Dave, it is a Patreon pick, and we did do 28 Days Later last week, and you said, hold my beer. And our newest Patreon, Rhys, has picked a movie from 1985, Dave. It is a horror. I don't know what it is, but it's a horror, shocker type movie. This one is directed by Stuart Gordon, based on the Herbert West Reanimator books. Herbert West Reanimator by H.P. Lovecraft, Dave, and it stars Bruce Abbott and Barbara Crampton. This one is Reanimator. Dave, I had no point of reference. Had you seen this before, my friend?
No, I had, and I have seen this one a good few times when I was younger. So, do you remember, Chris, as well, like before Blockbuster, before the big chains, because there was another one, wasn't there? Always our Blockbuster rivals. There was like
Global.
Scottish, Global, that was it. Because we'd occasionally have a Global video that was dropped off with us. And it's like, no, wrong video shop, mate. But before that, you had a lot more independent video stores. But you also had the man in a van / larder. you had basically a bloke who would drive around and he would just have a bootload of videos, none of which you'd ever fucking heard of. And I don't know, when I recount and you're forced to uncover memories that you've not thought about for so long, they've just been sat there at the back of your brain somewhere. And I'm like, I wonder why, this suddenly, I seem to remember, like, it was a shortish time, but, I remember you'd go and it was like door-to-door video rentals, just fucking weird. I don't know why, maybe the local video store closed down. You're not that observant as a kid, are you? But anyway, so yeah, this Reanimator was one of those movies that, my dad had got from the back of a fucking estate. And I just remember watching it. Now, this came out in 1985. I'm guessing that it was definitely pre-88. So it would have been, let's say, 86, 87 when I'd watched this. And again, I don't know why I watched so much horror as a kid when I've never liked it. I've just always hated it. But this one jumped out at me because I wasn't that scared by it. It's in that camp of, it wasn't fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. It wasn't one of those things that absolutely scared the crap out of me. It was just horrible and very obviously horror. So I did end up watching it quite a few times. And I actually talked to Scott on 20th Century Geek about this one a few years ago. I think I seem to remember it must have been around pandemic time. It must have been about 2021-ish or something. And I remember going back to it then to rewatching it. And I remembered more than I'd forgotten most of it. But as I was watching it, I remembered it quite a bit. So it's a weird thing to say that I think fondly about this one when it is so gruesome and stomach-churningly horrible. A lot of the body horror stuff is just nasty. But yeah, I do feel quite a bit of nostalgia with this one. I mean, Chris, any kind of recollection, did you know about this one at all? Have you got any kind of callback to anything kind of H.P. Lovecraft related?
No, you know what? I haven't, but the main character, I've seen like memes of this character or, little clips over the years, but not realized what it was about. So when I obviously I would get into me watching it, but yeah, I'd never heard of it. I'd never seen it, but I just remember the guy with the glasses, and I sort of remember a bit of a throwback thinking he looks about 35 and they're passing him off as a little student again. The old classic 70s and 80s, you know, like where they're really old people. So no, honestly.
Sorry to cut across you there, but we have seen him. He has popped up in a few things that we've done. So he played a very minor role in Robot Jocks, so not any particular forward character that I would expect you to remember. But if you remember, I think we did this one on Comics in Motion, Dr. Mordred.
Oh, yeah.
The Doctor Strange ripoff. Basically, that was him. Yeah. That was Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, was that him?
Yeah.
Ah, right. Bloody hell.
So that's where
maybe it's that, but I've definitely seen little bits of this. Definitely, I don't know if it's like a Channel 4 thing, you know, worst horror movie or greatest horror movies or something. You know, when you get like a Talking Heads and they bring out every dead leg going. Saying that, Dave, our little story. This is God's honest truth. So there's a lady when we were for the reality podcast. There was a bit there one where I did the BBC for, and I've mentioned it a couple of times where we went on as a reality TV specialist, and they ended up on this sort of talk show thing late at night on BBC Radio. And there's a lady who was a agent and stuff. Anyway, she's chatting away, and I remember ringing me. I'd passed her on something like a couple of people I knew that I spoke to the BBC and all this shit, and she remember ringing me going, do you fancy doing one of them Channel 4 things where you talk about, like, you know, the greatest 80s action movies or whatever it was? And I'm like, me, I'm nothing. What? And she's like, I reckon I've got a chance. And it was some ridiculous thing that I would have had no idea about, Dave. Maybe a horror. I don't know what it was. It was a movie reference where you've got all these like sort of semi-famous people, aren't you, talking? And I remember even saying to her, I think they might be escaping the barrel with me because nobody. I mean, she was looking at trying to get you out there. It was only a couple of years ago, but
you're the only bell end who keeps saying do it for free.
For free, all right, Dave. Yeah. That's why she tries to get me work. But no, you're right. Yeah, that's a completely different story, David. There's no need for that. You absolute wanker. But you are right, by the way. You are right. But yeah, just it's probably the sort of thing you would have seen, like, you know, a cult classic type movie. It'll be on YouTube somewhere. What is the top 10 cult classic horror movies? But no, I have no point of reference other than the fact that it's called Dr. Hans Gruber, Dave. I love the fact. Is that where we got Hans Gruber from in Die Hard? Is that like a bit of a...
It's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it?
Just a little bit. It's just a little bit. Somebody somewhere must have been a fan of this movie. But no, like I say, a really interesting movie that we've got this week, and Rhys is unbelievable, and it is available on YouTube. So if you're looking for it, the whole movie's on there. I know there's a few director's cut, but I think this is the original 85 version. That's what I watched it on this week anyway, and it's a good quality as well, Dave. It's in good HD. So if you are desperate to watch this, I don't know whether there will be a lot of people, Dave. I'm sure a lot of our audience will watch it. If John Hammond hasn't watched this and Spiders, then we're in trouble.
I think this is probably got a bigger cult following than you might appreciate. I think this one is pretty huge, especially in horror circles. It is, this one is not some obscure horror movie that only a few people know about. This one's pretty huge, I think. Spawned 2 other sequels. So Bride of Reanimator, Beyond Reanimator.
Yeah, and to be honest, Dave, literally, you know, Chris Phelps, roving reporter, researcher, about 10 minutes before we jumped on this podcast, I then realised the aggregate score on Rotten Tomatoes is at 90%. It's an absolute, like, people like David Bowie absolutely...
I think it's his favourite film.
Yeah, he absolutely loved it. There was some re-edits and that. So, yeah, I think I've been caught off guard by... Obviously, I'm not a horror fan by any stretch of imagination. We all know that. I'm an absolute shithouse. But the fact that I've not even heard of it is really interesting as well. So, no, you know what? I'm sort of looking forward to talking about this one.
Me too. Especially, I want to see if it influences some of the other things that we've talked about. So we're technically post-Halloween now, but like I say, this is a nice kind of bookend to our spooky season, as my Burton might call it. But Chris, should we get into our trailer?
Let's go.
Science has gone too far again, and this time it's armed with a syringe full of neon green nonsense.
That's right, it's Reanimator, the 80s horror classic that what if Frankenstein was a horny medical student with no boundaries?
Meet Herbert West, a man so obsessed with bringing the dead back to life, but he's basically Dr. Frankenstein on a student budget.
With that haircut, he definitely looks like a bloke who'd fail a CRB check. Fuck off, babes.
When West discovers a way to reanimate corpses, things get messy fast. Really messy, like you're going to need a mop and a priest messy.
Yeah, there's blood, guts, and enough screaming heads to start a barbershop quartet.
It's shocking, it's hilarious, it's Reanimator. The film that proved good science requires ethics and rubber gloves.
And possibly a restraining order from the entire medical profession.
Featuring groundbreaking special effects, by which we mean someone's flinging cow intestines at actors and calling it art.
And yet somehow it works. It's part horror, part comedy, and part we should probably not be watching this with the lights on, or if Chris is watching with the curtains shut there, but that's a different sort of video.
Reanimator, the cult classic that puts mad in mad science. And what the hell was that in 80s horror?
It's not for the faint-hearted or anyone eating spaghetti.
At the University of Zurich, medical student Herbert West revives his dead professor, Dr. Hans Gruber, with a serum that causes violent side effects. Moving to the university in Massachusetts, West rents a room from fellow student Dan Kane and sets up a secret lab in the basement. He demonstrates his reanimating reagent by bringing Dan's dead cat, Rufus, back to life. Twice. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
I love the fact that he kills that, well, like he brings that guy back to life at the start, and he's not going down for prison or anything. They just fucking ship him off, don't they? It's like, I give them life. The acting is brilliant. Like, the guy who plays, Jeffrey Combs is brilliant. Herbert West, he's so good in this, and he's like, you can just tell from the start he's a maniacal psychopath, but the acting around it and the effects. I mean, look, it's not got a massive budget. The budget was 1.3 million roughly.
Yeah.
But the actual effects are not that bad. But yeah, the story is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But it's a horror movie, so I suppose in some respects you've got to cut it a bit slack. But the fact that he ends up in Massachusetts with that Dan, and that scene with the cat. And there's obviously no cat. He's made it back to life. The cat isn't there. Next minute, it's on that West back. And the other guy, Dan's running around the room with a baseball bat trying to hit it. And there's nothing there, is that you can clearly see they haven't had the budget to have some sort of like stop motion or whatever. Or someone just pulling a fake cat on a string. Because, I mean, that cat's... If I had a cat, and I've had two cats, if my cat was ever making them noises, Dave, I'm leaving it the fuck alone. And I know that your cat as well, sailing there. But if a cat's making them noises and the tail's going, best thing you can do is just walk past them, let them fucking get out of the mood. Yeah. They're going to take a swipe at you. You're getting cut up there otherwise if you try and like wind them up and that. I've been there, got the T-shirt, got the scratches. So I'm not a big fan of cats. I've had two cats. We haven't got them anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, seeing all that, and when he brings it back to life the second time, I was like, and this Dan, I mean, again, they're playing like early 20s, aren't they? Characters. Yeah. Old look, mid-30s. I don't know how old Herbert West is. In fact, I should have looked at Jeffrey Combs is not Herbert West. Jeffrey Combs is in this, but he's certainly, so what would he have been? Oh, in fact, no, he would have been 31 when this was made, Dave. So, yeah, 1985. But even so, he's not an early 20s. You can see he's got the receiving hairline, everything, and he looks like he is approaching 40. And Dan's the same. Dan looks even older, and we're supposed to believe. But yeah, I can appreciate what the movie is, and I can. I know it sounds silly, but my God, it is. I didn't know what to say. I just kept thinking of Rhys going, is he stitching us here or what is this? Like, I was serious stitch up. Like you said last week, hold my beer. This is on a different level. But I'll be honest, Dave, I didn't hate it, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't know why, because normally I'd be like, oh, I hate every minute of this, but it's like comedic, isn't it? Like it really is, when they're pulling the guy's brain open and all that and pulling his face off, and the students are laughing about him. He's having a joke about it, going, oh, and they're all laughing. And it's like, you've just decapitated and pulled someone's skull off, and everyone was like laughing in the room. There's just these bits on it where I was like, I can sort of get that it's got a following because it's almost funny, if that makes sense, which I don't know what's happened to me, Dave. I think I've had a lot on it by Dr. West because I didn't hate it, which I thought I'd absolutely detest it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite surprised by that. Now, it is billed as a horror comedy, and I've often wondered, because there's no jokes in it. There's no straight up obvious jokes. It's very, very dark, isn't it? If it is intended to be a comedy, I wonder if, Jeffrey Combs' performance for me is stellar in this. He makes the movie, and I'd said to Scott when I was talking to him about it that he's basically playing a Batman villain. Like, he's not that far away from, say, Jim Carrey's Riddler, in terms of being that mad scientist. And from the very opening in the movie, because it's quite horrific, isn't it? It's quite haunting. And I was curious how I'd love to have been a fly on the wall for that very opening scene when they're walking down this kind of corridor, which is this old-fashioned hospital, and you can hear the screaming and everyone's really kind of wondering what's going on. They end up breaking the door down. You get this really gruesome bit where you see Hans Gruber and his eyes are popping out of his head and he's screaming, and then you get this you get the eyeballs sort of explode, don't they? And you get the woman doctor. She's like, "You killed him." It's like, "No, I did not. I gave him life." Straight away. Just the hammy delivery. But like you say, I mean, no one's believing that. You are going down for several years because that is the most logical explanation. Somehow you've killed him. People might not know the science, but it's like, oh no, you can't go to our university anymore. You're going to have to go back to America. But yeah, it's just that I think it's his performance. I don't know if they originally intended it to be a comedy, but yeah, that's how it's billed, is a horror comedy.
And I think I get it. It's like almost looking at the audience going, are you watching this shit? Are you taking it in, or are you believing it? Just what I mean? Like, it's almost like to us as the audience, they're sort of saying, yeah, we know it's stupid. We know it's ridiculous. He's not done on a massive budget, but you're going to come along for the ride. And I think that's pretty much where I was watching it. I was sort of like going from scene to scene going, what utter ridiculousness is coming next? Like what is next? Like, because even though like Herbert West is horrible, and he kills people and all that sort of thing, there's also other characters like that. Dr. Carl Hill, he played by David Gale. He's just got a bad guy face on it. And I know later on we see his face a lot, but like from the get-go, you're sort of like, I don't like you. I don't know why. And Dan's the only one, I think, who's got some redeeming characters. Dan and obviously Megan. Megan's got a few redeeming characters, Dave, especially later on. But I think like they're the only ones who there is some sense, she especially, there's some sense of like conscience in there, because the dad's not a nice person either, is he? And Dr. Hill's the same. It's a weird dynamic that you don't sort of side with West, but you don't side with anyone else other than Dan and that. And I don't think Dan's a strong enough character to go with it, even when he's telling like that Megan's dad, Dr. Halsey, like what's going on and everything. Even then, you sort of like, I think he might get away with this. I think West could get away with it. So yeah, it's weird. A weird film, this, completely strange. But then when you've got the scenes in the hospital and that, it almost feels like watching an episode of Dallas where there is a bigger production. That it's not a snuff movie. It's not like, you're watching an absolute terrible production. It almost feels like it's a stage show in some respects, if that makes sense. I mean, when they go looking for the dead bodies, that is Fucking brilliant, innit? He just walk in, he pretends he's dead, West, and then they're going in the morgue, aren't they, looking for dead bodies on the toes, like, oh, this'll do. And they pick the guy who looks like a fucking bodybuilder, doesn't he? An absolute psychopath. I mean, I thought he was the Sandman off Bloodsport, off Death Warrant at one point. He's a big, when he starts fighting with him, and you know, the old, and they've got no clothes on, well, he's kicking the shit out of him, in the morgue, you know, but West goes from nowhere and just decapitates him, and it's like, it's nothing. Blood on him, everything. Nobody's heard anything in the hospital, really.
No, he puts the thing through his back, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he's got Dan up against the wall, and then he puts the whatever that instrument is, you know, puts it through his back and kills him that way. But then obviously the dad, Megan's dad, comes in and discovers it, and then they accidentally kill him. Oh no, sorry, the bodybuilder, the dead bodybuilder.
The bodybuilder,
when he's fucking, I say there's no written comedy necessarily. It's all about the performance. Maybe I'm being a bit too quick off the mark there, because when he puts the door, the big fucking steel door, and then it's on top of the dad, and he's jumping up and down on it. I'm like, fucking hell. And then he's obviously smashing the dad up against the wall, so he's dead as well. And they're like, oh yeah, it didn't work for him, you know, the violent body, but you know, the body wasn't fresh enough, so you know, we'll bring the dad back to life. And it's just like this almost comedy of errors. It's interesting what you're saying about, you know, is Herbert West a good guy? I mean, he's clearly not. I mean, he's clearly the mad scientist who, you know, isn't thinking about ethics at all. He's just hell-bent on proving that he can bring things back to life. I think he's definitely, it's a bit ambiguous, but I think he's definitely killed the cat, hasn't he? Because, you know, when he turns up at Dan's house, you know, wanting to rent the room, being very suspicious, you know, just his whole look. You see Jeffrey Combs, you know, in interviews and stuff. He's like, you know, he's quite a cheery guy, but as Herbert West, he's always got this frown, this scowl on his face. And Megan's the voice of reason, saying, you know, something off about him, you know, and Dan's like, no, it's fine, he's got money, you know. And they turn up, and apparently the cat's in the fridge because, you know, Herbert West found it dead. Yeah, right, he fucking killed it. But every time something happens, and, you know, despite all of the results of his various chaotic experiments, he's still hell-bent on finding the next thing to try out his reagents on. And it just goes horribly wrong. And the dad, obviously, you know, because Megan turns up, doesn't she? And the dad's starting to be quite violent, but sees Megan, and then there's some sort of latent memory there, and he's cowering in the corner, and they all just assume he's gone mad. And then, you know, the university security turn up. It's like, oh, yeah. And Herbert West is recounting this story about what happened with this whole chaotic scene, and basically blames it on the dad. It's just unbelievable, like scene after scene, sketch after sketch, if you like, just this comedy of errors and all these experiments that just go badly wrong.
And it's true, and I think that's probably, you've hit the nail on the head, it's like a sketch, in it. Each scene there's something else in there where someone else comes in, and it's just like worse and worse. I think that's a good way to put it. It almost feels like a soap in some respects, because when Dan is you know, when she finds out Megan and Dad and her are talking, we're almost like Days of Our Lives, you know, the old Jake Ramore Friends. It's like overacting. It's just ridiculous. But then they have to go and see West, don't they? And like when their fucking doctor goes, Dr. Hill, to West, and he's like, this is amazing, and he's like trying to blackmail him and all that, Dave. And he's got like, and all I kept thinking of that green goo was the turtles. The ooze, remember the ooze that makes the turtles grow, because it's so neon in it, and it's like the way it's very clever the way they've done it. But when he kills him and he takes his head off and then brings him back to life, Dave, that was comedy fucking timing. I'm sorry, it was comedy timing. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, it's just the way his head is in that tray. And then like fucking West, he started talking to me. He goes, where's? And he goes, what are you trying to say? He goes, you're a bastard or whatever he says. And then the fucking corpse body grabs him round the neck, doesn't it? And like puts him to sleep, but doesn't kill him. It puts him to sleep. And then the next minute he escapes. And it's like, well, has nobody noticed this body with a head in the middle? Almost, Dave, I'm saying the Turtles, Dave, almost thingy like, what's he called? Not Shredder. What was the Krang? Was it Krang, the baddie in the Turtles with the...
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and he had his head in the middle of the body, didn't he? The little jar in the middle of his body. And it was like that. It's like, well, has nobody seen this guy covered in blood coming out of the hospital? You know, like that scene when he's talking to him, he's brilliant. His fucking head, you can clearly see he's under the desk, innit, and that. Like, yeah. And this is where I'm saying that West almost gets a bit of a redemption arc because Dr. Hill is even worse than him, isn't he?
He's the real baddie.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Which is bizarre, isn't it? Because all the way through, you're like, you know, he's going to be the one. West is going to get it. And then it almost turns into like Jacko thriller at one point. It's stupid. I was expecting like a musical number or something. You know, it's really is stupid. Stupid movie.
Yeah, and even before he starts speaking, Hill, you can see Herbert West. I mean, again, I think I kind of want to root for Herbert West as being this misguided scientist. But literally, Hill's, I mean, he is a bit, he certainly gets worse later, but he is like the baddie of the piece. But his greatest crime is he's looking to plagiarize. He's looking to take, I mean, there were already accusations of that, weren't there? So the very first lecture you mentioned about where he's pulling back the skin from to show the brain and, you know, really good effects. And Herbert West is there snapping pencils and, you know, accusing him of just regurgitating the work of Dr. Hans Gruber. And, you know, he just, I don't know how many pencils he had. He must have had a whole pack that he was going through snapping there. But Hill's on about, you know, he's going to take this creation for himself. And so he basically murders him. But doesn't just murder him, but properly like fucking decapitates him. But then the comedy bit, like, is where he's got the head and he's trying to see if like he can just inject into the head bit, and he's trying to stand it up, and then he tries it a couple of times. Then he ends up getting his fucking post-it note thing, and just to keep him steady, he sticks his head on his post-it note. So yeah, that was pretty funny, to be fair. But also the fact that you've got this talking head who is having struggle, you know, he's having a struggle breathing, but he's got no lungs. He's like, West. So yeah, it is ridiculous. And as the camera shot changes, like you say, you can tell he's just sat under the desk, and he's sort of at a different angle to where you have him. You know, when you have him when he was stuck on the post-it note spike. You know, he's at a different angle. But also, like, I don't know the way there's a lot of hand wavy science, isn't there? But when he does knock out West, and, you know, his body kind of picks up the head, and then you do get the comedy kind of, he's bumping into things. And then somehow, you know, putting the blood bags into his little bowl there gives him this, like, good feeling. Almost like this, he's got his orgasm face on there. He's like, you know, he's enjoying all this blood coming in. So yeah, I as we're recounting it now, I'm thinking, oh yeah, maybe this was a bit more on the nose comedy than I was thinking.
And he is getting his fucking lob on, I think, by the blood. When he gets Megan, Dave, and he takes all the clothes off, and next minute he's fucking feeling her boobs. Then he's the fucking body's got his head and he's kissing her nipples. He's like, get off me, get off me. And then she goes between her fucking legs. I'm like, oh my God, what is this movie? Where's this come from? But then it all, I must admit, that bit, and you're like, what the hell? Even young Chris is not getting a staring at that one, Dave. I'm like, no, this is uncomfortable. But the best bit of the movie is when Wes comes in and he says to Hill, I've got a plan, as Dan's like taking Megan away. and all the bodies come up. And
Yeah.
it's like, that was good. That was good because I wasn't expecting that. I just thought they were there as props, but then obviously he's made all these people alive, and through telekinesis, Dave, telepathic. His brain, he's just gone beyond anything West has. So he's got all these like zombie-like people he's brought back to life, and that fight scene at the end is just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. The fucking security guards outside reading his paper doesn't see like this fucking zombie go past him initially when he's reading the paper and everything, and then when he does, he still doesn't do anything, does he? It's like, the end fight scene is a comedy. It is almost like a stage show, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, I mean, just so it's quite an infamous scene, the head scene, if you like, also for multiple reasons. So after this movie came out, the actor who played Hill, hold on, I had his name up a minute ago. Is it David Gale?
Yep.
Hold on,
It's David Gale, yeah.
It's David. Yeah, so David Gale did actually get divorced. And it's not confirmed, but the rumor is, it's partly to do with this scene. Now, I suspect that's putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5. You don't throw away marriage for that. But I mean, it is a shocking scene. But I'm curious about. So, if you've watched it on YouTube, I'm pretty sure when I watched it back in 2021, I saw a bit of the movie which I'd never seen before. And when Hill was talking to Megan's dad, and again, it's a bit fucking creepy, innit? Because he's like nearly 50, clearly, and he's on about courting Megan. It's like, come on, this is not appropriate. But you get this like little hypnotism thing. It's almost like the Hammer horror where they zoom into his eyes, and he's a hypnotist as well. Now, I don't remember that from the original video, and I watched this on Prime, and I didn't see it there either. But I'm sure when I watched this on YouTube, that bit was still in the movie. That was a deleted scene because I guess for the main movie, they thought, well, yeah, making him a hypnotist, it's another thing. It's another plot point that you don't actually need. But was that in your version? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a deleted scene in the main theatrical cut, I think. But that makes the zombies all, well, I'm not going to say it makes more sense, but I think there's something about the hypnotism or the mind control that, because he's lobotomized not only Megan's dad, but all these other corpses as well. And that's why apparently he can control them all, because they don't have any will, but he can somehow convince them to do whatever he wants. I mean, the whole thing was, basically whenever Herbert West injects anyone with this reagent, they just turn into these, almost like last week for 28 days later, these rage zombies. But apart from West, it's had the desired effect for the plot for him to be this maniacal villain.
I think the end scene's silly, and then obviously when Megan, they get away, but then Megan ends up getting strangled, doesn't she, Dave? She gets put on the journey. They're trying to bring her back to life. Dan then kisses her, and I'm like, well, that's a bit strange. I mean, obviously, I get it. He's kissing his missus sort of thing. But then you get this whole off-camera thing, don't you, where he brings her back to life and we get the scream. Now, I've not seen the sequels. I probably never will. But is she like the baddie in the sequels or something? Do you know? Or
yeah, I mean, for the sequel, this end scene almost didn't happen. I mean, it's just, the continuity is not the best. So I can't remember Bride exactly, but I just remember thinking, well, what the fuck did you do that end scene? So yeah, but for me, it was a nice bookend, because when we first meet Dan is when he's in the hospital, and he's trying to revive someone and he can't do it, and the people around him are saying, a sign of a good doctor is when knowing when to give up. So Dan doesn't have that in his character yet. He's not a good doctor, and he refuses to let things go. I mean, Megan, tragically was killed, fridged, if you like. You know, she was definitely, she didn't have that much agency. She was the voice of reason in the movie, but was essentially killed off. And Dan still hasn't learned any lessons, you know, similar to Herbert West, and he tries to revive her, despite the fact that every single fucking time that they've used this reagent, bad things happen.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just a stupid film, Dave. So should we get into our scores?
Let's go.
So, Rhys, I want to thank you, mate. Great first pick. I just did not expect to come out of this actually enjoying it. I can see the reasons why it's a cult classic. It's utterly stupid. And it's not really a horror. Like I say, there's a couple of bits are just silly. When the guy's having his head peeled off by Dr. Hill and they start laughing, the students, I'm like, well, you've got to be a sick kind of person as you peel someone's skull off. But they're all sort of giggling at one point. I think, you know, Jeffrey Combs is brilliant as West. He's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that he sort of gets a redemption arc in the movie and Hill becomes an even more of a bastard is not something I was expecting. It's all stupid. The head scene at the end with Megan is ridiculous. So I'm going to put it in Hill Valley, I think, Dave. It's probably one of the highest.
Hell.
I know, this is one of the highest horror movies I've ever scored, other than Scream, and that which I love. I was not expecting this. I actually really enjoyed it. And I was like, there's something going on here. What is happening? As a career towards 50, Dave, I'm thinking, well, I've got a few years, 3 or 4 years. What's happening to me? You know, I'm not going to be going through the back catalogue of horror movies, but I think this one just caught me in a good mood because I did actually enjoy it. So what about yourself?
Well, you have knocked me. You could knock me over with a feather or, you know, some other adage. You've just screwed me up there because I was going to put it in Hill Valley as well, but now I feel compelled to put it higher. I don't know. I'm going to say a really high Hill Valley for me. It's not quite Pleasantville, and part of that is my own bias. This is a low budget movie, but you don't really feel like it's a low budget movie. Definitely, you know, that B movie level horror, but for the budget that they had, I think they did really well. I mean, we said about the cat getting killed, but one of the bits that I definitely didn't ever forget is the second time that they revived the cat, you know, and it just the noises that it makes and this horrible, twisted, mangled body. I mean, it doesn't look like a real cat. It looks like something, you know, off some horrible version of the Muppets. Maybe it could have been on Meet the Feebles or something, but I just think they did really well with it. And Herbert West, played by Jeffrey Combs, what a character. And it's implied, and in the original H.P. Lovecraft story, you know, he is killed off at the end, and it's sort of implied that he's made the sacrifice. You have the intestine tentacles kind of popping out of this body, which, you know, it seems like he's left with all the bodies and he's killed off. But clearly when people watch this, they were like, this guy is absolutely, you know, the Reanimator. You know, he's everything good about this movie. So yeah, I did deliberate a little bit with Pleasantville, but I think probably just because it turns my stomach so much, there's a bias there to keep it down a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure now that I know you've liked this one, I'm tempted at some point. It's going on my list of candidates, I think, to put Bride of Reanimator, because it turns up the batshit craziness to 11 in that one. I don't think it's good. The best one is this one. It's the original. But yeah, I might have to bring that one out at some point.
Unbelievable picks. Thanks for that, Dave. I will not be looking at that. So and next week is another pick, Dave, and this one has caught me completely off guard. I literally, just as we were coming into this, I was like, I have never heard of this movie. I've never seen it. It's our good friend Math has picked this one, Dave. We're going back to 1978, and this is the year I was born, 46 years ago, nearly 47 next month. And it stars, Dave, well, it's screenplays by Joel Schumacher. It stars Diana Ross and Mr. Michael Jackson and Richard Pryor. we're going to be reviewing, Dave, The Wiz. So let's get into the trailer.
Let's go.
In a different place, in a different time, different.
What's it?
He's down the Ross, but you can hear the Jacko as he comes. Oh my God.
I'm on my way to find the Wiz. He's gonna get me back home.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh no.
Thank you. And good luck.
Oh no.
The genius who created me only took care of my dashing good looks, my razor-sharp wit, and my irresistible attraction to the wrong women. What he forgot was a heart. A lion without any courage. Oh!
Can you help us, sir?
What's in it for me?
We'd be very grateful.
Here it is.
Now bear in mind, Dave, I've just been to the Sphere in Las Vegas to watch the original Wizard of Oz, so this is going to be interesting. I've never heard of this movie.
Mama would be so proud. Going to see the Wiz.
Fucking good of the music.
I mean, the music is good, isn't it?
It is, I'm tapping my feet. Might be the best about this one.
Yeah. I mean, it does look like a stage production, doesn't it?
It was originally stage production, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Send up the one with the silver slippers.
You see though, Diana Ross in this, how obviously Michael Jackson, he always said he wanted to look like her. You can clearly see, can't you? Pre-plastic surgery, he was obsessed with her, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And for Sammy to see this, she loves the Wizard of Oz.
I mean, I do. I've heard that before.
You wanted to meet the Wizard.
New York. This would be interesting. Wizard of Oz in New York, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the stitch-up, but I've got a feeling I might like this.
I've got a feeling I might as well. Richard Pryor there, Dave. If he goes full Gus Gorman, though, we're in trouble.
I could do, couldn't he? Smash It Broadway Show of the Year.
Yeah. The music sounds great.
I'm watching this and I'm thinking, the original Wizard of Oz was obviously, is it 1939? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But that's been replayed over and over again. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I wonder why this hasn't been.
Yeah.
I mean,
honestly, it looks good. Looks on it.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. I might enjoy that.
So, massive thank you to everyone. Math, I don't know whether you're stitching us up there, my friend. We'll see next week. It could be god awful, but the music might save it. If you do want to support us, please get over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. You're going to email us the VHS Strikes Back @gmail.com. And if you want to follow us on social media @VHS Strikes Back. So, a big thank you to Rhys, Nick, Gareth, Mike, Lee, Helen, Dan, Dylan, Justin, Susan, Tim, Matt, Hales, Kent, Lucky Green, Herbs, Jack, Math, Blake, John Hammond, Mr. Tony Farini. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. Great pick, Rhys, as well. And I'm looking forward to Math's pick next week, Dave, because I don't know what to expect. But I'm never even heard of it, which has caught me completely off guard.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'd heard of it is because when Mav told me, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But, and I had a little sneaky peek at the first couple of seconds of the trailer then, but I didn't watch the whole thing. That's the first time I watched it. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one next week. And for the musical number for next week, that is going to be hard to see what I do there.
Old
But
Town
for
Dave.
for this week, what I decided to go with, weirdly, because I know Gladiators came out, it was more of a 90s thing than an 80s thing. But I couldn't shake from my head this idea of like Herbert West and Dan and everything being the Reanimators, and then turning up, on a Saturday night in this gruesome Gladiators style intro TV tune, just appearing almost like, at the end of Predator when everyone sort of turns around and smiles at the camera. At the start of Gladiators, you'd have like Wolf and Shadow and everything, you'd have all these gladiators, wouldn't you? So this is the feel I've gone to for this one, which is called Reanimators.
The nerve, he's the thumb, chill and long reserve. Reanimator. Came from Zurich with the final green. A genius mind in a mad scientist dream. Found a roommate, a pops up too. Said that's the door and I'm walking through. On the table, hearts and ice, life and death with heroes dice. Do you feel the power of the Reanimator? Do you feel the serum of the dead invader? He's got the nerve, he's got the chill, but no reserve. Can't stop back, the more goes wild. They're springing out there, thing just smile. He gets chopped and topped and West just springs and loads another dose. Can't stop progress, can't stop pain. What's dead today will rise again. Do you feel the power of the Reanimator? Do you feel the serum of the dead invader? She's got the brains, he's got the nerve, he's got the chill, and no reserve. Next name with a dark desire. He's got no pulse, but he's feeling fine. He knocks his hand across the line. Yeah. Do you feel the power of the Reanimators? Do you feel the serum of the dead invader?
Very good, Dave. Proper 80s, that. I think that works really well with the movie.
And I don't know if it's just because we've watched the trailer for The Wiz, but actually, I think with that context, I was thinking, if anyone were to do a Broadway musical of Reanimator, that would be a good intro.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine someone doing that. Well, mind you, Lost Boys is going to be become a Broadway show, so who knows? I think they'd struggle with some of the goriness and special effects, but could happen, Chris. But honestly, you've knocked me over with that score, and just the fact that you didn't hate it. I thought you would absolutely hate this one. The amount of body horror stuff, it's gruesome as anything. So yeah, I feel like maybe with watching all these shit movies and stuff in Year of the Stitch Up has warped your perception, maybe. But it's definitely, if we'd have done this a few years ago, this would have gone straight to the bottom, I'm pretty sure. But there we go, an interesting thing that's happened there. But anyway, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun talking about. And thanks to Rhys for picking this one. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time. Bye.
That's it, man. It's game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back.
That's not.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off. Get to the chopper! One ring to go. All right. Ding, ding. Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go.
Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Ain't so bad. Ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid. Yeah, maybe you're stupid. You ain't breathing heavy. He's a fool. He's stupid. I've seen you at 6 months.